A few years ago, in order to pursue his family's business, Qin Feng was forced to break up with his first girlfriend and take over the family's business empire. After years of ups and downs in the business world, the Qin Group finally became the first enterprise in the Dragon Kingdom. Meanwhile, Qin Feng also unexpectedly discovered that he had an extra daughter. Keywords of the novel. Shenhao Daddy. No pop-ups when the opening daughter comes to her door. Shenhao Daddy. The opening daughter comes to her door. Download the full text. Shenhao Daddy. The opening daughter comes to her door. Latest chapter reading. Chapter 1. Parent-Child Identification. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. Parent-Child Identification. Magic City. Huanri Building. Mr. Qin, the plan you previously laid out has been fully successful, and our Huanri Group has achieved an unprecedented victory. Yeah, now our Huanri Group is not only the #1 enterprise in Longhua, but also a major leader in overseas commercial markets. Mr. Qin, your strategic layout has been completely successful, and we have achieved it. The luxurious conference room was filled with people dressed in suits and leather shoes, displaying their wealth. All faces carry endless joy. Because Huanri Group has achieved unprecedented victory, successfully expanding 30% of overseas markets and becoming one of the top 10 giants in the world. All of this is due to Qin Feng sitting in the main seat. The name Qin Feng is a legendary existence in the business world. In just 10 years since taking over Huanri Group, Shengsheng has transformed a small company on the brink of bankruptcy into one of the top 10 giants in the world. 10 years ago, the company's account held 20% of the world's wealth without any investment. All of this is thanks to Qin Feng's strong strategic vision and terrifying commercial methods, which have made great progress and become the object of attention and admiration for everyone in the business world. Everyone in the conference room was in a state of ecstasy, except for Qin Feng's face, which was indifferent. In his dark and deep eyes, there was a faint hint of inexplicable sorrow. That's enough. A slightly magnetic voice came from Qin Feng. The shareholders in the conference room all quieted down and turned their gaze to Qin Feng. That's it, let's end the meeting. I won't attend such meaningless meetings in the future. After speaking, Qin Feng left without looking back. Only shareholders with a bewildered expression remained, but everyone didn't find it strange and had already become accustomed to it. The more capable a person is, the more eccentric their temper becomes. They can have what they are today, and their wealth depends entirely on Qin Feng. Who dares to say no to Qin Feng? In the office. Qin Feng leaned back in his chair, his gaze fixed on the window. A fleeting image flashed through my mind at this moment. A handsome man with sharp eyes knocked on the door and entered the office, saying, "Mr. Qin, this is what you want." Upon hearing this, Qin Feng finally reacted from his daze and took the information handed over by Cold Feng. Cold Feng's eyes were somewhat surprised, but he was very clear that others did not understand Qin Feng. The protagonist in front of me has extremely terrifying tactics in the mall. He never procrastinates when making a move and will instantly defeat his opponent. Qin Feng has always been a decisive figure in his impression. Have you ever seen Qin Feng so expressionless? Qin Feng ignored Cold Feng's strange gaze and opened the cowhide file, which contained a paternity test. Appraisal result. According to existing data analysis, Ms. Gu Bufei and Mr. Qin Feng have a father-daughter relationship. Upon seeing such a result, Qin Feng's eyes flashed with a hint of guilt, and he immediately muttered to himself, "It's indeed so. Mr. Qin, when did you have a daughter?" This parent-child identification was personally carried out by Cold Feng, and his hair and blood were also obtained through special methods. Seeing Qin Feng's expression, Cold Feng could basically confirm the girl he had recently met. It is the daughter of the Huanri Group. If placed in ancient times, it would be an incredibly precious princess identity. As for why Ling Feng felt strange, it was because he knew that Qin Tian had not been married or had children for 10 years, and he devoted all his energy to his career. Although there are many women who fall in love, they will still be driven away by Qin Feng. But now she inexplicably has a daughter. It's been a long time since I kept it a secret. It's been 15 years now, and I didn't even know I had a daughter. Qin Tian didn't answer Cold Feng, but instead looked up and laughed at himself. 15 years ago, Qin Feng had not yet taken over the family business. At that time, he was still very childish and completely ignorant. At that time, he met a girl named Guyer. At that time, we had been together for a period of time, but later due to family business reasons, Qin Feng had to return home and start getting involved in business. At that time, Qin Feng never thought about it at all, and Guyer was already there of course. Later on, Qin Tian also received a call from Guyer, but Guyer was always hesitant, causing the matter to come to an end. If it weren't for a week ago, Qin Feng went to a school to handle affairs and happened to see an old friend, Qin Feng wouldn't have remembered such a thing. After all, in these 10 years, the company has reached a critical moment of life and death. Qin Feng has invested all his body and mind into it, and with his current achievements. However, Qin Feng did not feel happy about it. Instead, after seeing his old friend, he felt regretful. Guyer was once the woman Qin Feng swore to marry. But later on, it gradually faded away in various business wars. Of course, there are some things that don't matter if you don't know, but knowing them can be heart-wrenching. At first, Qin Feng thought that Guyer was already someone else's wife, but in the end, she was a single mother. With a 15-year-old daughter. With Qin Feng's mind, an astonishing reason immediately came to mind. Sure enough, things are as he thought. His daughter is his. 15 years ago, Guyer came to take care of him, but was sent away by his father. From then on, there was no further contact. Even now, Qin Feng doesn't know what his father and Guyer said at that time. And Qin Feng's father died of a heart attack 10 years ago because he couldn't bear the immense pressure. Qin Feng patted his head and blamed himself. You're confused. Damn it. Qin Feng has been dominating the shopping mall for many years, and he knows better than anyone what it feels like to live with a woman and a child. He has seen many examples of this before. I didn't expect that his Qin Feng woman and child were also experiencing this. Mr. Qin, should I arrange to take the young lady home now? Asked Cold Feng weakly. Although his identity is extraordinary and he has had experiences of galloping on the battlefield, he dare not cause trouble in front of Qin Feng, because Qin Feng is the person he admires. He was also the one who saved his life. No need. Have you investigated their current address and living conditions? Qin Feng refused. It's not that he doesn't dare to recognize each other, but it's too abrupt and will definitely scare them. Moreover, in the past 15 years, Qin Feng has not provided them with any help, and he currently doesn't have the courage to face Guyer. In the shopping mall, whether it is the dominant capital tycoon or the wealthy tycoon holding a treasury, Qin Feng has never wavered. But the person in front of Qin Feng didn't have the courage to recognize each other for a moment, because he owed them too much. If possible, Qin Feng is willing to give them everything in exchange for forgiveness. But some things cannot be measured by money. Leng Feng, help me buy a house in the community where they live, and then help me buy a cheaper car, along with registering for an online ride-hailing service. Online ride-hailing. Cold Feng widened his eyes. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Online ride-hailing drivers. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. Online ride-hailing drivers. Is there a problem? No problem, Mr. Qin. We have the largest Didi ride-hailing platform under our umbrella. I'll give you some instructions later. I just don't understand, Mr. Qin, you are stuttering, said Cold Feng. Qin Feng gave Leng Feng a faint glance and smiled slightly. I want to pick up and drop off my daughter from class. I understand. Cold Feng nodded and then left. Modu Shishin community is an old community that has been standing here for decades. The various greenery and equipment in the community have fallen into a state of neglect. However, this place has become a paradise for migrant workers. Because the area is old and relatively close to the city center, and more importantly, due to the old community facilities, landlords are waiting for demolition. The rent here is exceptionally cheap and the cost-effectiveness is extremely high, making it a paradise for migrant workers. At this moment it was still dawn and the cold wind was howling. A 15-year-old junior high school student was walking out of the community with a few books in his arms. It is now October day, and although there is no heavy snow floating in the Magic City, in the morning, you can vaguely see the faint frost flowers in the nearby sink. The female student hugged the book tightly, curled up her body, and moved forward step by step. Although the scarf covered the lower part of her face, one could still see her face flushed with cold. This damn weather is so annoying. The female student looked up at the sky and continued walking. Suddenly, a small car with a black face stopped on the roadside, and the car window slowly lowered. "Little student, do you want to take a car?" Upon hearing this, the female student looked at the driver in shock. Although the driver is dressed simply, he has an extraordinary temperament and an indescribable mismatch. "Thank you, I won't sit," the female student refused directly. Qin Feng in the car was slightly stunned, looking at his daughter walking on foot in the cold wind, feeling very uncomfortable in his heart. "Little student, in such a cold weather, you don't have to suffer that kind of pain when taking a car." Gu Bufei shook his head, didn't say anything, and continued walking on foot. "Hey, little girl has a high level of vigilance." Qin Feng shook his head and smiled, looking at his daughter who didn't want to talk to him, feeling grateful that he didn't act recklessly. "Little student, I'm going to Magic City No. 2 High School. Are you going the right way? If you're going the right way, it can be cheaper. I don't want to go for nothing. What do you think?" Sure enough, Qin Feng's words made Gu Bufei slightly lower his guard. Because many sports car drivers nowadays are unwilling to run empty for nothing. If they can carry a passenger halfway, they can earn as much as they want. "How much is it? You're a student, can you go for 10 yuan or not?" Qin Feng had already inquired about it. He took a taxi from Shishin community to the second community, at least starting at 20. Now that he's cut in half, it's likely that Gu Bufei will be interested. "It's too expensive, I can't walk far." This little girl, the ability to negotiate is quite high. Qin Feng couldn't help but laugh and cry, "How much do you want? Come on, you can quote a price. Anyway, it's the same for empty cars." Gu Bufei raised his right corner of the eye slightly and said, "Taking the bus is only 3 yuan. Okay, 3 yuan is better than nothing." Qin Tian pretended to sigh, "Get on the car." "Thank you." Gu Bufei smiled and quickly opened the rear door. She really didn't want to walk in the cold and strong wind. Now that there is a free ride, it's no use sitting. "Buckle up your seatbelt, I'm leaving now," Qin Tian reminded and immediately started the car. "Uncle, is this a new car?" Gu Bufei looked at the car as he fastened his seatbelt. "Yes, just bought it, ready to go ride-hailing online." Qin Tian responded calmly, having been in the mall for many years, which made him very responsive. "Running an online ride-hailing service. What are you doing at Magic City No. 2 High School?" Gu Bufei was taken aback for a moment. "I live near here, and it's easy to take orders from Magic City No. 2 Middle School." "So the Tathagata, you have a business acumen." Gu Bufei smiled naively, revealing 2 small dimples. "Well, just like her mother, it looks really nice to smile. Are you okay? Let's make a living. This way." Uncle, do you also live in Shishin community?" "Yes." "Do you have to run to Moer Middle School every day?" "Yes." "There's a business that I don't know if you're interested in." Gu Bufei is also a clever little kid. Hiking to school in this cold weather is really torture. When it comes to cars, it's too expensive. Squeezing the bus is not enough for those office workers. She used to take the bus, but there were a few times she couldn't squeeze in. And the golden fish and dragons mixed in the bus. Slowly, Gu Bufei started hiking to school. Qin Feng almost couldn't help but agree. Isn't this just right for me? However, Qin Feng also knew that if he agreed too easily, it would backfire. It's not that he doesn't want to recognize his daughter, but rather that it's too abrupt, which may make them unable to accept it. Moreover, Gu Bufei is already 15 years old. How did the mother and daughter come over these 15 years? Qin Feng is not sure. He did not fulfill the responsibility of being a father. I don't know what their mother and daughter will think. First, make contact and find good opportunities before proceeding. You clever little devil, your idea has even hit me. Can I do a loss-making business? Qin Feng deliberately said. Why not? Anyway, you're also going to Magic City No. 2 Middle School to take orders, so why don't you just take me over for 1 yuan? Although 3 yuan is not much, in the long run, your fuel costs will also be recovered, right? As you just said, running empty cars is also running, and you can earn as much as you want. It has to be said that Gu Bufei has indeed inherited his good traditions. Okay, it's not easy for you, little girl. I'll take on your business. Thank you, uncle. Don't worry, if one day you don't go to Magic City No. 2 Middle School to take orders, I won't bother you. Gu Bufei was overjoyed and quickly thanked him. It's okay. I will go to pick up orders for a long time in the future. Besides, it's not up to me the final say where to pick up orders for people like us who ride on the internet. Well said, uncle is domineering. Qin Feng was overjoyed. This little girl, her mouth is so sweet. By the way, in this extremely cold weather, why don't you let your family take you to school? Taking advantage of this time, Qin Feng prepared to explore the situation. However, Gu Bufei's small face darkened slightly and he said, my mother can't even be busy on her own. She doesn't have time to see me off. Besides, I've grown up too, why don't I just go to school? That's too embarrassing, isn't it? Qin Feng smiled but didn't feel at ease. Children in middle school have basically embarked on the path of independence, and they have to face everything. Isn't your dad dropping you off? I see other families' children have their parents picking them up and dropping them off from school, especially in this cold weather. Uncle, look at the road and be attentive while driving. Before Qin Feng could finish speaking, he was interrupted by Gu Bufei. Through the rearview mirror, Qin Feng saw a hint of resentment in Gu Bufei's eyes. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Living in the same community. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. Living in the same community. Qin Feng sighed inwardly. He had already guessed this result beforehand. Just the situation seems to be more serious than he imagined. Gu Bufei didn't even want to mention him. The carriage suddenly quieted down. At the entrance of Mo Du Air Middle School. Qin Feng stopped the car steadily and said, all right, here we are. Okay, uncle, do you have any V letters? Let's add a friend and I'll give you the money by the way. Okay. Gu Bufei took the initiative to mention it, just avoiding Qin Feng's next move. The two of them added V letters to each other, and Gu Bufei transferred 3 yuan to Qin before getting off the car. He then waved his hand to Qin Feng and said, Uncle, thank you. After speaking, Gu Bufei walked into the school without looking back. Looking at Gu Bufei's back, Qin Feng felt a mix of flavors in his heart. At this moment, the phone rang. It was from Cold Feng. Hello. Mr. Qin, where are you? The senior executives of state-owned enterprises are already on their way here. With great sincerity, they estimate that our proposed super factory construction plan will be successful. When are you planning to come over? I'll go over now. Hanging up the phone, Qin Feng rushed to the company as soon as possible. Although the current Huanri group is already wealthy, the project that needs to be done still needs to be done. After returning to the company, the senior executives of state-owned enterprises were already waiting, and Qin Tian went straight to the topic to discuss the construction issue with them. Given the influence of Qin Feng, the senior executives of state-owned enterprises have come up with some good solutions. After the meeting ended, Qin Feng also received a satisfactory plan as he had hoped. "Mr. Qin, your business tactics are the sharpest I have ever seen," said Cold Feng with admiration. "All of this is just based on our strength, otherwise they wouldn't have made such a big concession. It doesn't matter, let the responsible project manager handle it carefully. Magic City is a land of gold everywhere, and if this project is handled well, there will be huge benefits." Qin Feng attaches great importance to this project. He is planning to establish a super-large factory in the Magic City. With this super-large factory, not only can it be self-sufficient, but it can also open up greater space for overseas markets. After all, there is a market, and if productivity cannot keep up, it is far from enough. The reason why we want to stay in the Magic City is precisely because of its strength and convenient transportation, and setting up a super factory here has a greater impact. After handling the work at hand, Qin Feng looked at the time and it happened. "Hurry over now, it's just time for my daughter to finish school." Ding ding ding. Accompanied by a crisp bell for the end of class. A voice full of youth suddenly came from the second middle school of Magic City. The first to bear the brunt was a little boy with dark skin, his school uniform tilted and twisted, and he ran towards the school gate with a face full of joy. Immediately, students wearing school uniforms rushed out one after another. Gu Bufei still walked out of the school gate with a stack of documents, just like before. As soon as he walked out of the school gate, Gu Bufei saw a familiar car. "Isn't this the uncle this morning?" At this moment, Qin Feng also lowered the car window and waved to Gu Bufei. Gu Bufei walked over in confusion and said, "Uncle, why are you here?" "I just picked up a passenger and came back." "Why are you out of school? Do you want me to give you a ride?" Qin Feng asked seemingly unintentionally. "Okay, is the fare still like in the morning?" "Okay, I happen to be ready to go home for dinner too." Gu Bufei sat in the car with joy and said, "Thank you, uncle." However, after getting on the car this time, Gu Bufei kept looking at the information in his arms, with a faint hint of sadness. Qin Feng couldn't help but ask, "Little student, you must be so diligent, so your academic performance must be very good, right?" "Uncle, don't laugh anymore. I'm just annoyed." "Huh, why are you so annoyed? Is it difficult to fail the exam?" "It's like this, I need to review quickly, otherwise if I fail the exam, my mother will definitely nag me." Gu Bufei was very frustrated. After a while, Gu Bufei suddenly said in distress, "Ah, it seems that I need to find someone to help me with tutoring. My English is really terrible." Qin Feng, who was driving, suddenly laughed and said, "What do you say? Your English is very poor. It's not just that bad. This thing emphasizes the basics. I couldn't learn well in elementary school, and I've been in junior high school ever since. My foundation has fallen completely. It's good to get a score of 60 on a regular exam. I didn't pass the last time and was scolded by my mom for being so bloody. I don't even know what to do. Why don't I give you tutoring?" Qin Feng smiled. Gu Bufei rolled his eyes and said, "Uncle, don't be joking. Do I feel like I'm joking like this? Like. Why? If your English is good, would you still need to take a ride-hailing service online?" Qin Feng was immediately tormented and scolded by this soul, leaving him speechless. "Little girl, who are you looking down on? Even if my English is poor, can't I still handle middle school textbooks?" Of course, as a dominant business giant, Qin Feng's counterattack ability is not bad. Upon hearing this, Gu Bufei felt quite reasonable and said, "It's really fake. Are you sure you can handle it? Look, you don't trust me so much. I'll make up for it for you." "That's okay, but as agreed, I don't have any tutoring fees for you. A small matter, I'll just review my English. When do you have time?" Qin Feng naturally wouldn't miss the opportunity to get closer to his daughter. If anything else doesn't work, Qin Feng's English proficiency is quite good, otherwise he wouldn't be able to expand into overseas markets. "Well, you also live in Xishan community. How about I go to your house after dinner?" "Okay, that's settled then." Fortunately, Qin Feng had already arranged a house in the Xishan community, and it was not far from Gu Bufei's house, which happened to come in handy. After parking the car, Qin Feng came to the house that Leng Feng had arranged for him. "I was originally thinking of tidying up, but I didn't expect everything that Cold Feng had already arranged for him." The house seemed to be regularly occupied, and everything was orderly and orderly. One room, one living room, simple and comfortable. Soon, Cold Feng brought the food to Qin Feng. "Mr. Qin, are you going to stay overnight here tonight?" "Yes, is there a problem?" "No, Mr. Qin, I also rent a house next to me. If there's anything you need, just call me." Although Cold Feng appears to be Qin Feng's assistant, he is actually Qin Feng's bodyguard. "Okay, but remember, you must never reveal your identity, otherwise I'll ask you." "Yes, Mr. Qin." After responding respectfully, Cold Feng turned around and left. In fact, Leng Feng is also very clear that Qin Feng did this to have more contact with his daughter, promote relationships, and on the day they met, they would not be so rigid. Qin Feng was eating when a knock came from outside the door. As soon as the door was opened, a small figure crawled in and whispered, "Quick, fast, close the door, don't let the neighbors see it later." End of this chapter. Chapter 4. The first day of tutoring my daughter. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. The first day of tutoring my daughter. Looking at Gu Bufei's sneaky appearance, Qin Feng couldn't help but shake his head and said, "I'm just tutoring you. Don't make it look like you're a thief." Seeing Qin Feng closing the door, Gu Bufei breathed a sigh of relief and said, "Uncle, you don't understand that anymore. In this Xishan community, there are all kinds of people. If someone sees me as a beautiful girl and comes to your sleazy uncle's house at night, my back will be pierced. And I can't let my family know about this either." Upon hearing this, Qin Feng remained silent. He just wants to tutor his daughter, but he still sneaks around. "Alright, have you brought the tutoring materials you need? Let's get started." "Of course I brought them all." Gu Bufei didn't hesitate to take out the prepared materials. At first, Gu Bufei just had a try-and-try attitude, hoping that Qin Feng could give her some tutoring help, but to her surprise, Qin Feng's performance completely exceeded her expectations. Qin Feng's English proficiency is really good. Both the pronunciation and the foundation of English are sound, and some knowledge is even better understood than her English teacher. "Uncle, I said your English is so good. Why don't you find a career as a translator? With your fluent English and basic skills, it's definitely safe. Hehe, work is not as simple as you imagine. In your eyes, my English is very good, but in the eyes of society, my English is just average. If possible, why do I need to go ride-hailing online?" Qin Feng chuckled casually. "That's true," Gu Bufei nodded disapprovingly. Ultimately, it was her lack of social experience, as she was only a junior high school student and had never been exposed to society. She didn't know what the outside world was like. In fact, Qin Feng's English proficiency has reached the level of being able to communicate freely with the outside world, which is also the result of Qin Tian's hard work for more than half a year. After all, to expand into overseas markets, not knowing English is indeed a disadvantage. The next moment is when Qin Feng showcases his English. During this period, Qin Feng was very careful and serious. Whenever Gu Xiaofei didn't understand anything, He would explain it for a while until Gu Bufei fully understood it. If some senior executives of the company saw such a scene, their eyes would drop out in surprise. When did Qin Feng explain to them so carefully? You should know that Qin Feng's style in the company has always been swift and decisive, and he is extremely strict with the talents of the company. He never says his words twice. In his words, those who have the ability to listen once will understand, and those who do not have the ability to speak multiple times will not understand. Therefore, whether in technical discussions or company meetings, Qin Feng's words have never been repeated. But today, due to a small question that Gu Bufei didn't understand, Qin Feng repeatedly repeated it 10 times, using various examples. After all, this was Qin Feng's first time tutoring his daughter, and he wished he could give her all the knowledge in his mind to make up for his 15 years of neglect. At 9 o'clock in the evening. The tutoring has ended. Gu Bufei's face was full of joy, and his gaze at Qin Feng changed. Uncle, thank you. I never expected you to be so good at English and have a good temper. I thought you were impatient several times just now. Hee, how could it be? Such a lovely child, how could I be impatient? Even if I explain it a few more times, I can still do it. TSK, uncle, you said that. Those who don't know thought you were secretly in love with me, Gu Bufei joked. Qin Feng stopped teasing and said, don't make a fuss, I can't do this job. That's right, being my dad at your age is enough, Gu Bufei said with a smile as he packed his things. Qin Feng's heart suddenly skipped a beat, but his long-term cultivation in the shopping mall kept his face unchanged. By the way, uncle, where are your family at your age? Don't tell me, you're not married yet. Gu Bufei suddenly remembered something and quickly asked. Is it strange? Of course it's strange. I thought to myself, uncle, your appearance is not bad either. When you were young, you should have been a handsome guy. How could you not have gotten married? Gu Bufei looked at Qin Feng with a puzzled expression. Fate is a strange thing, no one can say for sure. That's true, but it's a pity. Uncle, your temper is so good and your English is also good. It's a waste of time. Hee, why don't you take care of yourself first? You can ask me if you still have any questions about the English tutoring just now. Okay, I understand now. Uncle, with your guidance just now, I can guarantee that my English will definitely be qualified this time. So confident. It's necessary, and I'll go back and review again, using the learning methods you taught me, uncle. Maybe I can still strive to get a score of 70. Gu Bufei's face was full of confidence. Although these 70 points may not be worth mentioning in the eyes of academic achievers, they are only a significant improvement for children who have failed for a long time. Qin Feng smiled and said, look at how proud you are. Alright, then let's make a bet. Do you dare? What's there to be afraid of? How do you want to bet? Let's just watch this test. Can you get a score of 70 on it? What if I can pass the exam? If you can score 70 or above on the exam, then I'll give you a gift. If you can't pass, then you'll give me a gift. Okay, that's a deal. Gu Bufei agreed. Alright, let's not talk anymore. It's getting late and I have to go back, otherwise my mom will have to worry. Gu Bufei quickly brought his study materials, opened the door, poked his head out to take a look, and then ran away. Fortunately, they live in the same community with different buildings, which saves a lot of trouble. As Qin Feng watched his daughter leave, he couldn't help but sit on the sofa with a faint smile on his face. In no time, cold foam came over. The arrival of cold foam is naturally to tidy up the things on the table for Qin Feng, after all, these are all disposable. Don't be busy yet, Qin Feng suddenly called out to cold foam. Mr. Qin, what orders do you have? Said cold foam respectfully. May I ask you a question? What gift should I give you? Qin Feng asked with a smile on his face, seemingly unintentionally. Cold Fang's eyes rolled and he said, with your current identity, Mr. Qin, as long as it can be bought with money, you can buy it. Even if Miss wants the stars in the sky, Mr. Qin can pick them for her. Stop talking nonsense, I need your advice. Qin Feng rolled his eyes, this was his first time giving his daughter a gift. Mr. Qin, please don't make things difficult for me, said Cold Foam with a bitter expression on his face. If he wanted to ask him to go up the mountain of swords and down the sea of fire, his eyes would never blink, but it made him think about giving gifts like this isn't that asking Zhang Fei to embroider flowers. Looking at Ling Feng's bitter expression, Qin Feng shook his head and smiled, yes, you haven't been in love before, and you don't have a daughter. It's useless to ask. Cold Front. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Moving Home. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. Moving home. These past few days, apart from work, Qin Feng's only thought in his mind was what kind of gift to give to his daughter. In a sense, this is his first time giving a gift to his daughter, and his choice must be careful. It's unbelievable to think about this matter. A prominent business tycoon, whether in decision-making at the mall or in making various choices, Qin Feng is quick-witted and never hesitates. Now, choosing a small gift for his daughter leaves him in a dilemma. Qin Feng is also very concerned about Gu Bufei's academic performance, but he has great confidence in his daughter's ability. He believes that under his guidance, her daughter can definitely succeed. Qin Feng also happened to take this opportunity to give a gift to his daughter, so as to further strengthen the relationship with my daughter. 3 days later. Today is the day for Gu Bufei's exam. Although it was not a major day, Qin Feng arrived at the school gate early and waited. And the gift he had prepared in advance was also placed in the passenger seat. Qin Tian seemed very nervous and occasionally glanced at the small gift placed in the passenger seat. Originally, it was only half an hour of waiting time, but for Qin Feng, it felt like a century had passed. Ding ding ding. The school bell rang for the end of school, and a large number of children walked out of the school gate one after another. Quickly, Qin Feng saw Gu Bufei coming out with a female classmate. Gu Bufei was originally chatting with her best friend, but she happened to see a car parked at the school gate. She said directly to her best friend, "Look, that's the uncle I told you about. He happened to be at the school gate, and today I have a ride again. That's not perfect, not cheap. Your luck is really good, it can even get you a ride." Huh, meeting this kind uncle seems to have taken me more than 10 years of luck, Gu Bufei joked. I won't say it anymore, I have to hurry over and don't keep uncle waiting for too long. Speaking, Gu Bufei ran towards Qin Feng's car. Over the past few days, Gu Bufei's relationship with Qin Feng had already gotten closer. This time, without even asking, he opened the car door and sat on it. Uncle, why are you always here after school? What can I do? I've already agreed to do your business. Hee, uncle, you're really naive. You're also doing this kind of loss-making business. No loss, no loss. I think I should receive a gift today, Qin Feng smiled. As soon as Gu Bufei said this, he became unhappy and said, Uncle, what do you mean by this? Who do you look down on? I'm telling you that you can't possibly receive this gift. On the contrary, you owe me a gift, humph. Is that so? Of course. Gu Bufei hastily took out a paper from the materials and handed it to Qin Feng, take a look. Qin Feng took over and took a look, good guy. 75 points. How's it going? You lost, are you ready with my gift? Gu Bufei said proudly. Of course, but you are the student I taught, and this score was already something I expected. TSK. Uncle, I can't tell you're so ugly. Qin Feng didn't care either, picked up the prepared gift and handed it to Gu Bufei. What is this? Gu Bufei was a little excited. After all, at this age when love is just beginning, little girls love to receive gifts from others the most. Just open it and you'll know. Gu Bufei excitedly opened it and found a very exquisite small box inside. After opening it, there was also pleasant music coming out. However, the appearance of this music box is indeed exquisite, with excellent design and craftsmanship. Gu Bufei seemed to like this music box very much, holding it and looking right and left. Thank you, uncle, but will it be very expensive? Gu Bufei is a bit worried. After all, it's not easy for everyone in today's society. The uncle in front of her is just a commoner who runs ride-hailing services, not a wealthy person. Moreover, the uncle used to give her tutoring before, and now he still accepts gifts from others, which makes it difficult for her to get along well. Qin Feng smiled and turned to look at the excited little face. Do you think it's expensive or not with my financial ability? Thank you, uncle. I'll also give you a big gift on your next birthday. Then I'll wait. Buckle up your seatbelts and we'll set off. Sure enough, this small gift brought the relationship between Qin Feng and Gu Bufei closer, achieving the desired effect for Qin Feng. After all, I am still a child, how can I compare with Qin Feng, this business tycoon? At night, Qin Feng returned to the house in Xishan community. Congratulations to Miss Qin for further strengthening her relationship. Cold Feng stepped forward to congratulate. Well, how has Gu Yu's work been handled? Qin Feng's face showed a rare smile. Mr. Qin, Madam has been serving as the head of a restaurant for several years, but her position and salary have not increased. I plan to buy the restaurant and then reshuffle it, so that Madam can be successfully appointed as the manager. Cold Feng is very cautious in his work. He knew that Qin Feng wanted to improve the lives of the mother and daughter, but he couldn't reveal his identity beforehand. He could only use the excuse of changing the owner of the restaurant to reshuffle and reassign, and Gu Yu worked the longest time in the restaurant, so she should be able to get a higher position. This method is good, remember, don't leak it out. Qin Feng knew that it was not convenient to appear at this time, otherwise it would only make things worse. Gu Bufei's family. Gu Yu had just finished work and didn't even have time to change her clothes, so she entered the kitchen to work hard. She has a plump figure. I don't know whether she is born beautiful or well-maintained, which shows her youth. Many times when Gu Yu and Gu Bufei go out, they will be considered as sisters. Of course, all this benefits from her exquisite facial features and spotless white face. Bufei, I saw that your exam results were good today. Mom specially added some extra dishes for you today, even as a reward. Gu Yu also looked at her daughter's transcript, and she was very happy. The homeroom teacher also called her, saying that Gu Bufei has made great progress in English recently. Thank you, Mom. Don't be stingy, by the way, you and Mom will go find a house together after a couple of days off, Gu Yu said while cooking. Ah. Why are you looking for a house? Living well, why do you want to move? Gu Bufei was startled. After all, he had just met Qin Feng and was unwilling to move. One reason is that she can hitchhike every day, and occasionally Qin Feng can help her with tutoring. More importantly, Gu Bufei feels that Qin Feng is really easy to get along with and has an inexplicable sense of affinity in his heart. If we move out, wouldn't it be gone? Gu Yu rolled her eyes and said, do you think Mom and I are willing? I have been living in this place for so many years and I have become accustomed to it, but the landlord has informed me that it will be demolished soon. We need to be prepared and find a good house first. Gu Yu is also very helpless. After all, it is not easy to find such a cost-effective community in the Magic City. Although Gu Bufei was very unwilling in her heart, she could only accept this news. After all, this matter was not something she could change. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. I am her dad. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. I am her dad, don't worry, this time Mom is looking for a house closer to the school, so you don't have to take the bus every day. Looking at her daughter, who was feeling a bit depressed, Gu Yu couldn't help but comfort her. Mom, but didn't you say the house near the school is expensive? Gu Bufei knew that it was not easy for his mother, and they had asked about the house near the school. The price was so expensive that it was not something they could afford to rent. After all, in big cities like Magic City, prices are definitely soaring. It's okay, Mom's job has been changed recently and her salary has increased, so she should be able to sustain it. In fact, Gu Yer is also very helpless. She really can't find affordable houses like Shishin community in the entire Magic City. But I've been living here for so many years, I can't bear to part with it, Gu Bufei pursed his lips. Huanri Building. Qin Feng just started a meeting with senior executives of state-owned enterprises. The content is about the establishment of a super factory. For this matter, people from state-owned enterprises are very concerned. After all, the super factory that Qin Feng is going to establish this time is expected to occupy an area of 1 million square meters. This means that it can provide employment opportunities for hundreds of thousands of people in Magic City. In addition, this super factory will also involve various production lines, which can better promote productivity. Therefore, state-owned enterprises attach great importance to it, and this meeting is to discuss the selection of the location. Halfway through the meeting, Qin Feng's phone rang. It was an unfamiliar one. Sorry to interrupt, I'll take the call. After thinking for a moment, Qin Feng finally interrupted the meeting and withdrew with his phone. Hello, are you Gu Bufei's parent? A woman's voice came over the phone. I am, may I ask who you are? Qin Feng responded politely. Oh, I'm Gu Bufei's homeroom teacher. Gu Bufei is fighting with other classmates at school, and the situation is a bit bad. I hope you, as parents, can come over and negotiate together. Fighting. Qin Feng's mind was filled with question marks. Gu Bufei got into a fight with other classmates. Yes, the other party's parents have come over now, the teacher continued. Okay, I'll be there right away. Qin Feng also knew that the situation must be serious. Gu Bufei is his precious daughter, and nothing can happen. And Qin Feng can basically understand the situation behind it. Something unexpected must have happened. Gu Bufei had an argument with his classmates, and the situation escalated. Gu Bufei was unwilling to notify Gu Yer, so he had to temporarily bring Qin Feng out to try his luck. After hanging up the phone, Qin Feng returned to the conference room and said, Sorry everyone, there is an important matter that I need to handle. You can discuss the rest and Director Su will be fully responsible. After speaking, regardless of whether everyone agreed or not, he turned around and left. Hey, Lao Qin. Director Su had not yet realized it, but by the time he fully realized it, Qin Feng had already disappeared. This makes Su Jian both angry and helpless. Sorry everyone, Lao Qin probably has something particularly important to discuss. Let's discuss it next. Su Jian is the largest shareholder in the company besides his professional ethics, and of course, he is also a very capable person. But Su Jian also noticed that something was wrong with Qin Feng recently. It should be noted that in the past, he was a work-oriented person who never delayed his work due to anything. However, now that this super factory is such an important discussion stage, Qin Feng has left without looking back. Su Jian had already figured it out in his heart. After the meeting was over, he must ask Qin Feng carefully. What really made him so anxious is more important than a super factory. Leaving the company, Qin Feng drove his car alone towards the enchanted second middle school. When Qin Feng arrived at the classroom office on Gu Bufei's floor, the atmosphere in the office was a bit off. Gu Bufei stood on the side with a face full of defiance, while a girl of similar age was standing opposite her. However, the girl was now shedding tears and feeling very aggrieved. I guess this girl is the female classmate who had an unpleasant relationship with Gu Bufei. Hello teacher, I am Gu Bufei's parent. May I ask what happened here? Qin Feng approached Gu Bufei and asked with a smile. You are Gu Bufei's parent, may I ask what is your relationship with Gu Bufei? The teacher looked at Qin Feng with some confusion in his eyes. I am Gu Bufei's father, Qin Feng said fearlessly. Gu Bufei was stunned on one side, but did not refute. I thought to myself, this uncle is quite cooperative. Mr. Gu, you came just in time. Regarding Gu Bufei, excuse me, my name is Qin Feng interrupted the teacher. Ah. Your surname is Qin. The teacher widened his eyes. At this moment, Gu Bufei's small heart was about to jump out. Oh my goodness, 1 second I praised uncle's cooperation, but the next second it collapsed. Isn't this a complete calf? Gu Bufei suddenly vented his anger. However, Qin Feng faced the teacher's inquiry with a calm expression and said, is there any problem? No, Mr. Qin, I'm sorry. The teacher smiled awkwardly and quickly regained his composure, as every family's situation is different. Moreover, the teacher also thinks that Qin Feng and Gu Bufei are somewhat similar. You are Gu Bufei's parent, right? You came just in time. Let's talk about how to solve this matter. Before the teacher could speak, the father of the female classmate spoke impatiently. Qin Feng just began to look at the father of the female classmate. Dressed in a suit and leather shoes, with a slightly overweight figure and a hint of wealth, it is estimated that his income should be quite good. What's going on? Qin Feng turned his head and asked Gu Bufei. At this moment, Gu Bufei also spoke with some grievances, she moved her hand first. At this moment, Qin Feng also saw the female classmate's arm, which had a large scratch, but it was a skin injury. After a period of time, it would scar and heal, but it would not affect the body. Mr. Qin, I have just understood this matter. The two of them had an argument and, for some reason, started to fight, and then Li Qing fell. The problem now is. The teacher was about to speak when the child's parents interrupted. The current problem is what to do with this matter. You have also seen my daughter's injury. From childhood to adulthood, she has never suffered such harm, and this matter not only causes physical harm, but also has a great impact on my daughter's psychology. This matter must be explained to my daughter. Li Qing's parents seem very determined and must give him an explanation. Even though I didn't take the initiative, why should I explain it to her? It was also her instigation. If she hadn't taken the initiative, I wouldn't have pushed her away. Gu Bufei, at his youthful age, was furious when he saw the other party's parents being so aggressive. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. No trouble, no fear. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. No trouble, no fear, what's wrong with you, child? Are you saying you're right, it's my daughter who's wrong? Originally, if you don't believe it, you can ask her. She came over to provoke me, saying that she still needs to take action. You child, how wild are you? If you hit someone, do you still have reason? You keep saying that my daughter was the first to take action. What evidence do you have? Also, it's my daughter who is injured now. Look at where you got injured all over your body. Look at your intact appearance, how dare the villain report it first? If it weren't for the fact that you were still a child, you wouldn't have finished this today, would you know? As soon as Gu Bufei finished speaking, Li Qing's parents bombarded him with a series of criticisms, refusing to give him a chance to speak. It is obvious that he is protecting the calf. The teacher also looked down on it a bit and quickly spoke out to dissuade, Mr. Li, no, let's invite the parents of both parties to come over today, hoping to resolve this matter peacefully. After all, they are still children now, and it is normal for them to make some small noises. Why is this just a little fuss? Look at what my daughter's hands look like. My daughter has never suffered such injustice since she was so old. Can you say I can't be angry? Who knew that Li Qing's parents didn't care about these things? Seeing his daughter injured, he felt particularly angry in his heart. Qin Feng glanced at Li Qing's angry parents without any fear, but instead turned his head to look at Gu Bufei and said, "Tell me the whole story." "Dad, it's really not my fault about this. I was sunbathing in the hallway at the time, but Li Qing suddenly came over and mocked me, saying some unpleasant things. I couldn't get angry and just scolded her a few times. Who knew she couldn't resist, so I just hit her. If she wanted to pull my hair, I pushed her away easily. Who knew she was so careless and fell to the ground?" Gu Bufei couldn't care too much and quickly recounted what had happened before. Gu Bufei also felt aggrieved in her heart. She usually wouldn't do such impulsive things, but Li Qing kept finding fault and her words became increasingly unpleasant. At this moment, Qin Feng was completely stunned. The brain is constantly buzzing. What Qin Feng cares about now is not whose fault this matter is. But it was Gu Bufei's father. Although this was unintentional, Qin Feng knew that Gu Bufei was just trying to cooperate with him. But the sound of Dad calling out instantly left Qin Feng's mind blank. Various emotions in the heart keep soaring at this moment. It was even more shocking than him earning hundreds of billions in one breath. "You child is still talking nonsense. This matter is not over today. If you insist on this attitude, let's call the police and handle it." At this harmonious moment, an extremely disharmonious voice sounded. Li Qing's parents carry a hint of being reckless and tangled, clearly disregarding everything to protect their children. Qin Feng took a deep breath, calmed his emotions, and then turned his head to look at the mischievous parents in front of him. He slowly said, "Okay, let's call the police and handle it." "What attitude are you having?" Obviously, Li Qing didn't expect Qin Feng to say these words, and he was a bit confused for a moment. "I came here today to solve the problem. It's normal for children to play around, but you've been protecting your daughter all along. Who's at fault? Just a little investigation will reveal. Why bother you so much? It's not your daughter who's injured now, you must say that," Li Qing interjected. "But it's your daughter's fault. As the head of the family, you blame others instead of looking for reasons. In your eyes, your daughter is a treasure, while others' daughters are grass. I didn't want to make things worse originally, but since you insist on doing so, let's just make things worse and I'll be with you. But after investigating the matter thoroughly, we will punish it as we please." Qin Feng said a few words in a row, directly blocking Li Cheng's mouth. After all, this is a business tycoon. How could he ever be afraid of others meddling and pestering him? After these words, Li Cheng suddenly became much more honest. He is a typical bully who fears hard. Even if this is my daughter's fault, it's my daughter who is still injured now. Your daughter is nothing at all, at least she needs to apologize to my daughter for accompanying you. Li Cheng insisted on finding a place for her. Qin Feng suddenly smiled and ignored Li Cheng. Instead, he turned his gaze to the teacher and said, "Hello teacher, may I ask if the cause and effect of this matter have been investigated?" A classmate has already confirmed that it was indeed Li Qing who took the initiative to have an argument, and she was also the first to take action. The teacher had already contacted the classmate at the first time to understand, and the situation was indeed the same as what Gu Bufei said. Qin Feng nodded and said, "Okay." After speaking, Qin Feng turned his gaze to Li Cheng and said, "I don't think my daughter Gu Bufei has made any mistakes. She's just acting out of self-defense, so your daughter's injury can only be taken care of by herself. This is just a lesson for her, and I won't hold her accountable. If you insist on apologizing, let's find some more professional people to come and make a conclusion. My daughter, not everyone can bully her. I understand why you hurt your daughter. But I love my daughter more than you do." Qin Feng's sharp words left Li Cheng speechless, and Li Cheng also knew that he was not reasonable enough. In the end, the matter was resolved through the mediation of his teacher. This time, Qin Feng also gave the teacher this face and did not escalate the matter, nor did he pursue it further. Otherwise, with Li Cheng's attitude, it is estimated that the thunderous tactics would have already emerged. It's almost time for school to finish, so Qin Feng left directly with Gu Bufei. After leaving the school gate, Gu Bufei suddenly breathed a sigh of relief and said, "Uncle, you really scared me just now. I thought I was going to help out." Upon hearing this, Qin Feng shook his head with a smile that was not a smile and said, "I don't know. Uncle, you're really smart. You know what to do when you come to school. You've really helped me a lot. If you call my mom, I'll probably get scolded again." During the conversation, Gu Bufei couldn't help but curl his lips, appearing a bit aggrieved. It wasn't really her fault just now, so he didn't want to trouble Gu Yu. She knew that Gu Yu's work was already very hard, so Gu Bufei always behaved well in school, unless trouble came to her doorstep. She doesn't cause trouble, but she's also not afraid of it. "Uncle, you were so domineering just now. You just scolded Li Qing's father so hard that she couldn't speak. If it were my mother, she would definitely have to apologize in various ways. In the future, if you encounter such a situation again, you can come to me and I will help you solve it." Really, a gentleman's words are hard to recall, but the premise is that you don't take the initiative to cause trouble, and it's not your fault. Qin Feng felt a bit heartbroken in his heart. "Okay, if we encounter this kind of thing again in the future, you will come on behalf of my father. Anyway, our teacher has seen you too." Gu Bufei smiled happily. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Demolition Matters. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8 Demolition Matters. Well, let's go and take you home. Returning to the car, Qin Feng drove slowly towards Xixin Community. "Hey, uncle, it's a good opportunity to take your car. Unfortunately, you won't be able to do this loss-making business in the future," Gu Bufei said with a hint of regret. After all, after spending these days with Qin Feng, her affinity for him has become increasingly high. In Qin Tian, Gu Bufei can find an inexplicable sense of familiarity. Just like this incident, Qin Tian's appearance did not blame her, but instead solved all the problems for her. This is something that Gu Bufei has never experienced since childhood. After all, he has relied on his mother since childhood and has never felt fatherly love. What does it mean? Qin Feng frowned subconsciously. "I'm moving soon, and my mom said to find a house near the school so that I don't have to trouble you, uncle." Although Gu Bufei said it lightly, his tone was slightly unwilling. "Moving? Well, why move?" Qin Feng was immediately puzzled. "Uncle, don't you know yet? Xixin Community is going to be demolished soon. I came out this morning and saw the announcement of the demolition." Qin Feng really didn't pay attention. After all, he has been busy with the super factory these days, and he hasn't lived much in the house in Xixin Community, so he only stays there when he has an agreement with his daughter. "I really didn't pay attention to this." "Oh my goodness, uncle, how confused you are. That's where you're staying. You didn't even pay attention to it, and your landlord didn't tell you." "Maybe you haven't notified me yet," Qin Feng said casually. "But what did you just say about demolition?" "I'm not very sure about this, but I've heard others say it's because a big company recently bought land in Xixin Community and is planning to build a super large factory in Xixin Community," Gu Bufei said with his head held high. "Super factory?" Qin Feng was stunned for a moment. "Is it difficult for the state-owned enterprise to arrange a super factory location for me, which is on this side of Xixin Community?" Qin Feng immediately realized that the location of Xixin Community was indeed very suitable for him to establish a factory. Firstly, this location is not very close to the city center and is located on the outskirts. However, there is a lot of foot traffic in that area, and the roads are unobstructed. If the entrance of the factory is built in the Xixin Community, it is indeed a very good choice. Whether it is from a commercial or comprehensive evaluation, it is the best location. "Uncle. What's wrong with you? You don't just realize it now, do you? Hurry up and find a house, otherwise you won't even know what's going on when you're kicked out." Looking at Qin Feng, who remained silent, Gu Bufei thought Qin Feng was worried about living. Well, it seems that I also need to find a good house in advance, Qin Feng replied casually. Gu Bufei, who was sitting in the back seat, suddenly saw a light in his eyes and said, "By the way, uncle, you also want to move. Why don't we just be neighbors?" After all, children aged 15 or 16 sometimes have such simple thoughts. However, this happened to suit Qin Feng's wishes. "Alright, we need to find a new house anyway. Then let me know which house you're interested in and I'll go there together." "Okay, we've agreed, but don't tell my family." "I asked you to go there," Gu Bufei reminded. "Well, I got it." Taking Gu Bufei home, Qin Feng immediately returned to the company. Then I approached Su Jian and asked him about the location of the super factory. "Old Qin, what's going on with you today? You even let go of big things like a super factory. What did you do?" Faced with Qin Feng's inquiry, Su Jian didn't rush to answer, but instead spoke in a teasing tone. Qin Feng glanced at Su Jian, who was full of curiosity, and sat down slowly, saying, "For you, that's a trivial matter, but for me, it's a big deal that I can't give up." "What?" "I'm really getting more and more curious. I've been classmates with you since middle school. I've known you for so many years, and I've never seen anything more important about you besides work. Even when your father passed away, you were still worried about work. Old Qin, you're not being righteous anymore. How can you not tell me anything interesting or important?" Su Jian felt increasingly curious now. Speaking seriously. "You see, every time you don't want to say something yourself, you have this attitude. It's been so many years and you haven't changed." "I'm really impressed," Su Jian said in silence. "There are some things that I will tell you at the right time, but it's not the time yet." "Okay," Su Jian understood Qin Feng. He knew that if Qin Feng didn't want to say something, no matter how hard he tried to force him, it would be useless. He would naturally say it when he needed to. "The address of our super factory has been selected, and we have been negotiating before. The location will be set to the west of Modu, with Shishin Community as the main entrance." "Is it really Shishin Community?" Qin Feng frowned. "What's going on?" "There's a problem." Su Jian suddenly became anxious. What he was most afraid of was seeing Qin Feng's expression. Once there was this expression, it meant something would happen. "This is the address that was finally agreed upon." "No, let's leave it like this for now." Surprisingly, Qin Feng didn't have any extra words. "Look at how scared you are. By the way, there's something I need to talk to you about." "What's going on?" "Do you know about Sakura International Group? I heard it's recently led by Taro Yamamoto." "Sakura? Taro Yamamoto?" "Yes, it's just Taro Yamamoto. Recently, their company has officially entered the Magic City, and I'm a bit confused. At this time, why is Sakura entering the Magic City?" Qin Feng looked into the distance and suddenly let out a sigh. "The ones who should come will always come. I have said that the Sakura group will not rest so willingly." The Cherry Blossom group still lingers in Qin Feng's mind. Once cornered Qin Feng. It is also a consortium that forced Qin Feng's father to death. And Qin Feng also fiercely fought back 5 years ago. At that time, Qin Feng had just opened up overseas markets when he encountered the Sakura group. With the help of the mall's methods and super high intelligence, Qin Feng caused the Sakura group to fall sharply. It is said that they suffered losses of several billion yuan at that time, so Jiro Yamamoto fell from the altar. And Yamamoto Taro is the younger brother of Yamamoto Jiro. They came this time with a strong momentum, firstly to seize the domestic market, and secondly to avenge the one sword at that time. This guy is really stubborn. He fell so badly last time and hasn't learned a lesson yet. This time, he will have to confront us hard. Old Qin, we need to show them the capabilities of our company. Su Jian's eyes showed a slight coldness, and he never showed mercy to his opponents. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Unexpected Encounters. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. Unexpected Encounters. Don't underestimate the enemy. They will definitely come prepared this time. You keep an eye on them, keep an eye on their trends, and let me know any updates as soon as possible. Qin Feng also attaches great importance to this matter. Because Jiro Yamamoto is definitely not an incompetent person. On the contrary, he still has a certain reputation overseas, especially in the business world, which is quite huge. Business methods are extremely ruthless. Well, Lao Qin, I will take this matter seriously. It's getting late, I should go back and rest now. Qin Feng looked at his watch. Lao Qin, don't worry. Besides work matters, I have another thing to talk to you about. You said you're already big, okay? Hey. Don't leave, listen to me finish speaking. I have a few high-quality ones in my hand. Watching Qin Feng turn around and leave without hesitation, Su Jian could only shake his head helplessly. But he cannot interfere too much in this matter. If Qin Feng has such an idea, he can naturally facilitate it, but if Qin Feng does not have such an idea, even 9 of them cannot be persuaded. In the following time, Qin Feng was arranging the affairs of the super factory. After all, super factories are related to the productivity of the entire Huanri group, and there are many things that need to be dealt with, such as what material suppliers. Qin Feng needs to choose a reliable one among many bidding companies. Therefore, these days, almost all the doors of the Huanri building are about to be broken. Both small and medium-sized enterprises want to win this bid because it will generate huge wealth for them. Think about the scale of this super factory, how much raw materials will they need every month? This is a huge astronomical figure, which is a great opportunity for these small and medium-sized enterprises, and it also involves a lot of raw material supply, leading to countless companies competing for bids. Today, Qin Feng received a call from his daughter. Uncle, where are you? I'm working, what's wrong? Have you caused trouble again? A slightly speechless voice came from Gu Bufei over the phone. Uncle, could you please take a look at what day it is today? It's Sunday, and I'm on vacation. Really? I didn't pay attention. Forget it, let's not talk about this. You can come over after work later. I have found the house. Didn't we make an appointment before? You're my neighbor, and I'll give you the address later. Can you go and confirm the house? Upon hearing this, Qin Feng suddenly became happy and said, okay, then you can send me the address, and I will come over after work to handle it. Not long after hanging up the phone, Qin Feng received a message from his daughter, which contained the address where they rented a house. This house is not very far from the school, and it's only a walk of about 10 minutes. Qin Feng didn't say much, so he directly asked Ling Feng to confirm the house. After all, Xishan community can no longer live and will soon begin demolition, followed by the establishment of a super factory. Now their company is dealing with the issue of demolition compensation. As long as these matters are resolved, they can start implementing them. And Qin Feng, at this moment, was also keeping an eye on everything. After all, the company's scale was so large that he had to carefully monitor the core aspects. Cold Feng handled things very quickly and came back in less than an hour. Mr. Qin, the task you assigned has been completed and I have rented the house for you. This is the contract. Cold Feng placed a leather file bag in his hand on the table, along with a key. Well, come over with me after work to take a look. It's General Qin. After work, Cold Feng personally drove the car with Qin Feng to the house. This is not a residential area, but a standalone apartment. The environment is indeed much better than the previous Xishan residential area, but it is a mix of good and bad, with many young single girls living here. The house that Ling Feng rented for Qin Feng is on the 3rd floor. But when Qin Feng came to the front of the house, he immediately frowned. What's going on? Qin Feng turned around and asked Ling Feng seriously. Mr. Qin, I have inspected all the houses here, and there are only some houses with harsh environments left. The house in front of me is already a relatively good choice, said Cold Feng weakly, lowering his head. After all, the Xishan community is going to be demolished recently, resulting in many people renting houses. The price of this apartment is relatively not too expensive, which has attracted a large number of residents, causing the houses here to be in a state of overcrowding, with only a few lofts left. Qin Feng took a deep breath and said, even so, you shouldn't have found the position across the door. How do you want me to face the mother and daughter? Qin Feng's heart was both conflicted and hopeful. He was looking forward to meeting Gu Ye formally, but he was also afraid that because of what happened earlier, it would completely break the current situation. After all, Qin Feng is worthy of their mother and daughter. Oh, I'm exhausted. Moving is really tough. Before Ling Feng could answer, a familiar voice came from the elevator entrance. Qin Feng turned his head to take a look. Gu Bufei was carrying a large box in his hand, and his small head was covered in sweat. And Gu Ye, dressed in formal attire, was also beside her, holding several suitcases in her hand. At this point, the distance between the two is only 3 meters. This is the first time in the 15 years since the Qin Feng era that Gu Ye has been seen so closely, and it is also the first time in these 15 years that we have met. Despite being a mother, Gu Ye is still beautiful and charming, not inferior to before. After experiencing wind and rain and the polishing of society, Gu Ye has lost a bit of youthfulness and gained a bit of mature charm compared to before, and is even more beautiful and charming. When Gu Bufei saw Qin Feng, he was obviously delighted in his heart, but on the surface, he pretended to be indifferent, as if he didn't know Qin Feng at all. But in fact, I don't know how happy I am in my heart. I didn't expect this uncle's ability to handle things quite quickly. On the contrary, Gu Ye beside her was petrified, her eyes fixed on Qin Feng, with a hint of redness flashing in her eyes. At this moment, the thing she held in her hand was even tighter. At this moment, Qin Feng's mind also became chaotic. He had fantasized about meeting Gu Ye countless times, but no matter what, he never expected to meet her in such a situation. At this moment, the air seemed to solidify. Both sides stared at each other like this, and no one knew what the other was thinking. At this moment, Qin Feng didn't know how to express his emotions or how to face Gu Ye. Reason told Qin Feng to take advantage of this opportunity to confess to Gu Ye, but he dared not waver in his heart. Before Gu Ye took any action, Qin Feng dared not take any action. I persisted for almost a minute like this. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Super Chef. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. Super Chef Gu Bufei seemed to notice something was wrong. She took a strange look at Qin Feng, who was staring at her mother, and also at Qin Feng's mother, who was staring blankly at her. What's going on? Gu Bufei's mind is filled with question marks. Mom. What's wrong? Do you know this uncle? Gu Bufei couldn't help but ask his mother. At this moment, Gu Ye truly realized her mistake and quickly turned her head to adjust her emotions, saying, "Ah. It's not cheap. Hurry up and take the things in." Gu Ye's emotions quickly calmed down, but when she calmed down, she had a calm expression on her face, as if she didn't even know Qin Feng. She grabbed the box and walked over, looking like a stranger. Qin Feng felt uneasy in his heart, but he didn't blame Gu Ye because it was indeed his negligence. Gu Ye treats him like a stranger, which is reasonable and reasonable. Bang! Accompanied by the closing of the opposite door. Qin Feng's fluttering heart finally stopped. He turned his head and glanced at the tightly closed door, shook his head slightly inside, then took out the key and opened the door and walked in. Inside the house. Gu Ye had just closed the door when she leaned against the wall, her eyes flickering with a hint of tears, and her chest was constantly heaving. Although Gu Yue pretended to be so strong just now, she was always a woman, and the man she met just now was someone she once deeply loved. For many days and nights, Gu Yue was pondering her dreams. Of course, this man is also like a nightmare in Gu Yue's heart. From love to hate. 15 years. As the father of the child, he never fulfilled any responsibility. Moreover, when Gu Yue came to seek help, she also suffered humiliation from others. For this reason, Gu Yue never searched for Qin Feng again, let alone mentioned the pregnancy, because she deeply remembered the scene at that time. It was precisely because of that scene that Gu Yue persisted for so many years. Now, when she saw Qin Feng again, various emotions kept rising from her heart. At this moment, Gu Yue felt like her heart was in chaos, not knowing what she was thinking. "Mom, what's wrong with you? Are you feeling unwell?" Seeing his mother's extremely uncomfortable expression, Gu Bufei became nervous. After all, they have been relying on each other for years. "It's okay, Mom is too tired. Just take a break and it'll be fine." Gu Yue shook her hand and quickly began adjusting her state. No matter what, she couldn't let this affect Gu Bufei. "Mom, come here and rest for a while. I'll go downstairs and buy you a bottle of water." Gu Bufei helped his mother to the nearby stool and sat down, picked up the key and walked outside. At this time, Gu Yue also needs to adjust her emotions well, not to let her own situation affect Gu Bufei, and not let her daughter know about her relationship with Qin Feng. Because over the years, Gu Yue has been saying that Gu Bufei's father is no longer here. In Qin Feng's house. "Mr. Qin, I'm sorry, I really didn't expect things to develop like this, and I didn't know that Madam and Miss lived next to her." Cold Feng lowered his head like a child who had done something wrong. At that time, he didn't really think too much. When renting a house, he also examined the environment of each room and ultimately chose this house because the environment here was better than other attics. After all, Qin Feng is the CEO of the Huanri Group, and he knows very well what days he spends every day. After Qin Feng entered the room, he sat on the nearby sofa without saying a word, with his head lowered and his expression extremely complicated. "Forget it, it's not your fault that things happened, and I really should face them well." Although the incident just now disrupted all of Qin Feng's deployments. And Gu Yue's strange expression just now made Qin Feng's heart ache even more. He knew that Gu Yue hated him in her heart, and her expression and actions had already explained everything. "Mr. Qin, then. You go back first." Qin Feng shook his hand at Cold Feng. He just wanted to be quiet and digest himself well, and also thought about what to do next. Cold Feng dared not disobey and could only leave at this moment. Just as Cold Feng opened the door, he saw a figure outside the door, raising her hand and preparing to knock on the door. "Little girl, what's up?" Cold Feng's reaction ability quickly changed and almost called out the young lady. Gu Bufei put his finger to his mouth and made a gesture of speaking individually. Then tiptoed into the house. Cold Feng smiled and didn't say anything else, just walked out and closed the door. "Uncle, you're moving fast enough." Seeing that the door was already closed, Gu Bufei breathed a sigh of relief and then smiled as he looked at Qin Feng on the sofa. Seeing his daughter's arrival, Qin Feng's mood improved a lot and he began to adjust his state. "It doesn't matter, anyway, the matter of this house will be implemented sooner or later." "That's true, but why did you come across from me?" "This doesn't happen to be an empty house, so I took it down," Qin Feng smiled. "Oh, uncle, do you have water here? If you do, give me a bottle. My mom's body is a bit uncomfortable, maybe she's too tired from moving. I just went downstairs to check, and the small shop is closed. The supermarket is too far away, and my house just moved in with nothing." "Yeah. You'll wait a moment." Qin Feng came to the nearby refrigerator and took out a few bottles of water to give to Gu Bufei. After all, Qin Feng rented a complete set of equipment, with everything available. Thank you, uncle. No need, we are all neighbors now. Yes, we are neighbors now. You don't need to be polite, but what happened to uncle just now? You just stared at my mom, didn't it seem like you knew each other before? Gu Bufei asked Qin Feng with some confusion. After all, Qin Feng and Gu Yer had been staring at each other for a whole minute just now. It's simply impossible for a stranger to meet. Qin Feng was immediately silenced by Gu Bufei's question. How should he answer? You should know that the current Qin Feng has not yet figured out how to compensate their mother and daughter, so he cannot reveal his identity at this time, can he? No one can accept such sudden things, and the relationship established with Gu Bufei these days may collapse at this moment. Qin Feng didn't want to see this result, but he didn't know how to explain it. After all, Qin Feng had completely lost his composure just now. Uncle, what are you stuttering about? There shouldn't be any special relationship between you, right? Gu Bufei's voice made Qin Feng's heart skip a beat. After all, this is the fact. End of this chapter.